Hi, everybody. It's been a few weeks since I recorded a video. I'm gonna blame the holidays. I'm gonna blame being lazy. I was sick all last week. I'm gonna blame everything. But this has been in my queue to talk about for quite some time, and that is working with a command line web server. So I just kind of take for granted that if you're a web developer, that you know that you should be working with a web server. But there are so many tools that let you test things online that maybe you haven't. For many, way too many years, I would use Apache. So I'd get a new machine. First thing I would do is install Apache. And then, like, all of my web projects would go into a particular web root folder, and I would just do stuff from there. And I would do a little song and dance to do like virtual hosts and things like that. But essentially, I would test things on my local machine. Um, I used Apache for a very long time, and then eventually began to move over to a command line tool called Hipster. Now, the reason that I liked Hipster is that I didn't have to go into Apache and worry about any configuration files, whatever. I could just go in my terminal, work on some stuff, and then use this command, Hipster, to fire up a local web server to test whatever file or whatever I'm working on. Now, you may be asking, like why do I have to worry about that? Well, one thing is that most of the web platform features, things like geolocation, stuff like that, things that could potentially be dangerous, potentially. If you go to the docs, you will always see these APIs only work on a HTTPS server. Now, in production, we should all be using HTTPS. But on your local machine, while that's possible, it's kind of a hassle to set up. What you may not know is that all of those web APIs, they carve out an exception for localhost. So you don't have to worry about setting up like your own little cert or anything like that. You can use HTTP on localhost to test things. So anyway, I had used a tool called Hipster for a long time. And about a year or so ago, I had begun to notice that Hipster was really slow to start up. Once it was actually running, it was fine. But if I had to kill it and restart it for whatever reason, I had this annoying like 5 or 6 second wait for it to actually be ready, which really isn't that long to be honest. But it bugged me. So I was complaining about this, and my good buddy Todd Sharp pointed me to another tool called HTTP-server. Now, this is a simple web server, again, command line based, that you can install via npm. You could use npx as well, but I knew that I was going to keep using it, so I went ahead and did the global npm install. So let me show you an example of that just real quick. So I have a folder here that I called HTTP server because I was being very creative. It has one file in it. And I'm just going to type HTTP-server. And that's it, really quick. If we open this up, we'll see I get an index and I can click and I can view, and yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a web server. And when I'm done, I can just go back in here and Control C to kill it. It will also do this logging for you, so you can see requests coming in. Actually, it looks very similar to Apache logs, although it's been a decade probably since I've run Apache. So it's very easy to use. But what I will show you is that if you want, you can do http-server --help and see all the arguments out there. You can specify a port, but in my testing, when I am using this command line for something and I forget and I keep it running and I launch it again, it automatically picks a new port, so I don't have to even worry about that per se. But you could do things like turning off the directory listing, stuff like that. I don't see a real need for that. I will point out one thing that I ran into pretty quick, and that is caching. So I would work on my HTML and JavaScript, whatever, and I noticed that I would do a change. I would Alt Tab, Alt R in my browser to reload, and I was seeing an older version of the JavaScript. To fix that, I started using the cache time argument and setting it, as I say here, to dash c dash one to completely kill it. So that would look like, oops, let's not type in my code. HTTP dash server dash c dash one like that. And you can see the cache is set to -1 second. But outside that, it works the exact same. Now, I use this so much that I created an alias for it, dub, so it's a little bit less typing, and I didn't have to worry about passing the dash c dash one. So anyway, this is a tip for you, something to consider doing if you're working on the web platform and needing a quick way to test something. I will say you have options, and I will include these URLs in the video post, but here is a gist with Python examples, Ruby, Sinatra, Perl. Oh, I miss Perl. But many, many different examples if you don't want to use what I use. But anyway, let me know if this helps and leave me a comment. Thank you.